You are now entering PaleoRadio.
Welcome to PaleoRadio with your hosts Jeremiah-Bannister and Joe Elder.
Thank you very much for joining us live in studio, 95.3 FM, 1680 AM. This is PaleoRadio. Joe Elder.
Jeremiah-Bannister. Can't hear myself yet over the microphone. Jeremiah-Bannister. Look at that. There I am on the microphone. Whole bunch of fun. Jeremiah-Bannister, the one and only. Paleocrat. It's totally me.
Yes, and thank you guys for joining us once again. Yes. PaleoRadio, live in studio, 95.3 FM, 1680 AM, and 102.5 FM in the greater Grand Rapids area. This is the most wonderful show that airs here in studio from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., only on Mondays. We have a bunch of other fantastic local shows, but you've got PaleoRadio for Monday.
Yeah, you have PaleoRadio for Monday, and every day in between, you can go and you can find our stuff at Spreaker, Spreaker.com/PaleoRadio. You can also find us on iTunes, and it's a whole bunch of fun. We do stuff on Facebook and everything else, and actually, this week's been pretty busy, Joe. Stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, busy week.
Busy week. I went with my wife. There are two things that I did on Facebook. One of the things that I did is I made a video, a Vice-styled video for journalists and reporters and activists who are interested in covering veterans' issues as well as a better healthcare system for all Americans. And what it is, I was told that I had to drive about an hour and 20 minutes to get my old testy checked out.
Yeah.
Because the old left one was causing some issues.
That happens.
Yeah, it happens. And so they told me I had to go out of town. I couldn't go to any local hospital. We passed by and I knew as soon as they told me, they said, well, what Doc wants you to do is drive about an hour and 20 minutes away to a facility that's not a hospital. And I knew right away it was going to be a problem. So we decided, said, look, let's break out the old camera and we're just going to record. I'm just going to tell people what happens in situations like this. And I predicted, man, I pulled a Babe Ruth. I mean, I did. I predicted at 2 o'clock what was going to happen throughout the rest of the day. 100%.
And you told them.
100%. Oh, yeah. Actually, well, let me tell you, here's the weird thing is when you get 100% on your prediction, but then there's something that comes entirely out of left field that's an additional doozy on top of all the things you pointed out, something you never would have imagined. And I learned it. I learned, this is the only little nugget I'll give. I learned that veterans, and this is, I don't want to out who told me this information, right? I got a lot of information that day from a lot of different people. But one of the little factoids is that every single trip that veterans take when they're told that they have to be escorted from the VA medical center to an actual hospital to where they should have been sent in the first place, when that happens, they're doling out hundreds of dollars more every single time than what they have to.
Per trip.
Yes. So imagine every single trip throughout the year times hundreds and then put a dollar figure on that. And that's how much more than you ought to be paying. That's just waste at that point. That's all that is. That's just, at that point, you're talking waste. But it's a 12-minute video. We take all day. It starts at 2, and we get back at 11:44.
Wow.
Starts at 2. We get back at 11:44. It's a crazy day. So we did that. That video is online. It's been shared like almost 20 times. Totally huge. Sent it out to some media places. And then also Samantha's birthday. That's actually right now. So my daughter died last July of brain cancer. For people tuning in who may not know the situation, my daughter Samantha had a grade 3 anaplastic astrocytoma. She lived for 16 months. Fantastical life. Powerful. But she died. She did not make it. And this is the first birthday that we've had without her. And she would be turning a teenager today. And so the past couple days have been rough. I'm not going to lie. In fact, there was part of me that wanted to just call you, Joe, and say, screw today.
Yeah.
Screw today, man. Like, the old groin isn't feeling too hot. And on top of it, I got this situation. And I said, you know what? Samantha would want me to do this. In fact, that's what I asked Angela last night. I said, what would Samantha want me to do? And I thought back to all those status updates, and I wish I would have put them in a video that I made, because I made a video, a PaleoCrat Diary video, where I was just bawling. And I wish I would have put some pictures in there, some screenshots of her on Facebook talking about how much she loves this show and how much this show particularly meant to her. There's probably 20 updates where she's talking about how funny Paleo Radio is, or how much she loves it, and how Monday's her favorite day and all that stuff. And I said, dude, I got to do this. I got to do this. And on top of that, I can't give up vaping because I'm on day 28.
Yeah, day 28, almost a month, which is pretty good. A month of vaping. Yes, it is. Would have been Sammy's 13th birthday. Is very. It's very sad. It's a sad time, but at the same time, it's a time to celebrate. I know with Sammy, I do definitely miss her when we were prepping for show notes, having her up in the room, which she most of the time was. Mm-hmm. She was usually drawing in the corner, but she always liked to be up in the room, kind of seeing what was going on and how we liked to get the show together, how we joked around and would have to untangle cords and mess around with all of the audio equipment. But yes, it's a sad time. We're definitely going to miss her. But yeah, she was a wonderful person, and she left us a lot to think about. We do have a caller on the line.
Right.
Caller from Kentucky. I do recognize the name. This is Matt Singleton. How are you doing today, Matt?
Reverend.
Oh, how are we doing? How are you doing? Hey,
Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's going good. How are you there, Reverend?
Doing all right. I guess being a right reverend, I guess. But anyway.
Right.
No, I'm Baptist guy, so I should be called brother or something like that. You know.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Plus, there's the nuances of the fact that you're a fundy. You're a fundamentalist, and you're independent fundamentalist Baptist, correct?
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty much, although I do, I go to a Southern Baptist church, so, you know, don't tell me.
We'll keep your secret safe.
Yeah. On live radio. On AM,
on
FM,
live radio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, something weird, like, literally, I was just, going through, what we call these, peddler's markets, which is kind of like a yard sale in a building. And basically, I bought a couple books, and one, I've got, over 1,000 books, but I'll just, you just pick out parts to read here and there and stuff. But I read this one cover to cover this last week, and all of a sudden I go to your radio thing, and the show before it, Sojourner Truth. And the book is that I was reading is a biography about Sojourner Truth, and of course she lived in Battle Creek, Michigan, where I don't know if you're from there now, but I know you were there for a while. And it's been kind of amazing because a lot of things going on here, and now she also she had to deal with a death in her family. She had a grandson who she was raising like a son named Sami. So I thought there was just a lot of interesting tie-ins there and stuff. But really kind of it's a great book because it exposes a lot of things. She was a slave in New York, and a lot of people think, oh, well, slaves are only from the South and stuff.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she did a lot of really good things. And, it's kind of funny, too, though. She was, there's a lot of people, well, I don't know about a lot of people, but, some people have argued, well, some of the abolitionists, they were, saying they're for peace, but they wanted to push war in the South and stuff. But she went for peace the whole time through, right about the time of the war. But I thought that was pretty good because, if you're going out there telling, people, hey, I'm a black woman and I need my rights and stuff like that, and you're getting, a bunch of white guys calling you the N-word, for 30 years straight, eventually you crack.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But basically, really great life. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you for the phone call. We definitely appreciate it. We're really grateful that you took the time. So thank you for calling Paleo Radio. But I wanted to say, yes, totally. Sojourner Truth is from the area that Angela and I hail from. That was our hometown. That's where we grew up. So Angela was born there. I was born there and raised there my whole life, in fact, and lived there as an adult even for a number of years before moving to Grand Rapids. We left Battle Creek. I would almost say fled Battle Creek and made our way to a place of promise and milk and honey, and that's Grand Rapids. And so we're quite happy and content where we are. But, yeah, there's actually a really great memorial, Sojourner Truth, and a lot of things in Battle Creek are dedicated to her.
Oh, absolutely.
Big time. They have a beautiful, beautiful sculpture of her and the Underground Railroad at Friendship Park, which is downtown. It's right by there. Clara's on the river. It's gorgeous. And it's a very, very big area that's dedicated to her. In fact, there's a number of different statues around town that have her on them. So, yeah, Battle Creek loves it. Thank you for the story about Sami, the grandchild that died. And that story, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Sojourner Truth, actually, too. That's a self-given name, right? But she was of Isabella Baumfree. She was African-American abolitionist and women's rights activist, as a lot of us already know. She was born into slavery and escaped with her infant daughter to freedom in 1826. She devoted her life as an abolitionist to the cause and helped in recruiting black troops to the Union Army. Her best-known speech on racial inequalities, Ain't I a Woman, was delivered extemporaneously on 1851 at the Ohio Women's Convention. So, yeah. Sojourner Truth.
Big-time stuff.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, she definitely deserves it.
Yeah, big-time stuff, man. We've got big-time stuff for this show.
Yeah, 11 minutes in, we can maybe start talking about our topics.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's a good thing, though. Look, 616-656-1680 if you'd like to be part of that conversation. But, yeah, man, 11 minutes in, it's 10:11. Yes. We haven't even gotten to, like, hey, here's the breakdown of what you're going to expect.
That's right.
Right.
There's basically a bunch of anti-protest bills that are attacking the right to speak out. That's under Donald Trump. This is an article out of The Guardian. A bunch of them popping up in the state. I wouldn't necessarily say it's Donald Trump, but there are a bunch of anti-protest bills coming all over the place.
Yep. You got Miss USA. That was an interesting controversy where a scientist wins Miss USA but is slammed because of conservative comments.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah.
We'll dig into that one. That one is going to be fun to dive into. Then there's FCC votes to dismantle net neutrality as critics cry war on the open internet, which that one is really not a fun site, not a fun instance to be in, but there's a battle to be had.
And then you've got chess. I saw this and thought it was just so remarkable to have an actual city I believe in India, that was completely, in their estimation, was saved by chess. And as I read the article, they totally were saved by chess. If there was a religion that came in and completely changed the way that a city operated and went from like massive drugs and addiction and all sorts of craziness to now over 3/4 of their population having their favorite pastime being chess. And everywhere you go, there's people playing chess everywhere, all around each other, and they actually want to make it a chess city. It's an interesting story. It's over at the BBC. We're going to talk about that and what it did to transform a town from poverty to a town where they say that now they're beginning to think prudently, that they're making decisions that are planned out, their strategy to their decisions now as a city. And that they're implementing what they believe to be chess strategy to developing their town, and it's thriving. And they're hoping to be examples for other very poor and very addiction-riddled towns around them to be an example for them.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Chess. Yeah,
pretty darn cool. Next is poorer nations are more committed to wildlife conservation than richer ones. This is an IFL Science article. Really interesting by Josh Davis. We're going to get into kind of a measurement of megafauna and how they affect GDP for different locations and how much money they've invested in conserving it. So
I love that. It's going to be an interesting topic. The next one, do high-level leaks suggest a conspiracy? It's a debate. It's a good question, and I think that this individual is well situated to at least discuss it. It doesn't mean that he's right, but it's definitely worthy of debate, and that's by Philip Giraldi.
Yes, and then we have a Granville businessman. This is a little hometown one who accuses a school district of censorship, and he threatens a lawsuit. This is here, again, right out of Granville, Michigan.
This
right
is
by
Diesel Tech. This is Diesel Tech again.
Oh, yeah.
This is that guy. So anyone in town, if people are from this area and they say, okay, there's this guy from this place called Diesel Tech who's complaining about separation of church and state issues. Oh, yeah, we all know who that guy is. So we're going to talk about him and his complaints. And then, of course, the whole swamp thing, right? The swamp monster that Donald Trump has claimed and threatened to get rid of. And for some reason, it just doesn't seem to be going away.
No.
Seems actually to be kind of engulfing him even.
Oh, it seems even bigger.
Seems even bigger, maybe. I mean, there it is. There's the debate. Look, folks, we're going to have an awesome time. And we even have another person on the line, Chris from Nashville. Make sure to hold on through the break. Don't go anywhere. More Paleo Radio right after this.
Love Paleo Radio? Join the club. Support our work by visiting patreon.com/Paleo Radio today.
Back to Eagle and Dragon.
Welcome back to Paleo Radio, live in studio, 95.3 FM, 1680 AM, where all your dreams, hopes, and wishes come true. My name is Joe Elder with Jeremiah Bannister.
Yes,
Good
Jeremiah
times.
Bannister.
We do have a caller on the line. We're going to kick right to it. We have Chris in Nashville calling. Chris, how are you doing?
How y'all doing?
Not too bad.
Doing good, man.
Yeah, doing great. What did you want to chat with us about?
First of all, I wanted to talk about Sami. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I saw her tribute at ReasonCon, and it really moved me. And I never actually met her, but, she was one of those people, her light shone really brightly. And she had so much to say, so much to give. And I join you in remembering her. And it's kind of cheesy, but, they say, if you keep her memory alive, then she'll never, really gone.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. And for those who may be unaware, when Chris is saying he saw her tribute at ReasonCon, Samantha, my daughter, was awarded Champion of Reason. And so we have an award. In fact, we need to make a video. Angela and I, we've been so inundated with things that we haven't really made a recap. We haven't published even the God and Cancer speech yet. And we thought about posting it today, but I was like, there's a lot of people who are going to be going to her wall. Let's wait till tomorrow. I was like, let's wait, because this is going to be a big, heavy thing for a lot of people to watch and to hear. But we presented for the first time to an audience. In fact, the only audience that's ever seen it publicly is the audience at ReasonCon, at the VIP dinner the night that award was given to her. And so we're really grateful for all the people at ReasonCon. We're grateful for Gene Elliott, for Bobby C., for the whole family there. And we're grateful that you called to talk about this. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
One more thing. I wanted to congratulate you on your 28 days without vaping. I quit smoking like 6 years ago, cold turkey, and the first month is is the hardest.
Wow, you quit cold turkey, huh?
Yeah, I just stopped.
Yeah,
it was really difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure. And hey, you've never gone back. And how long ago was that, Chris?
Like 6 years, I think.
Man, that's
I
impressive,
lost count,
man.
But it's been about 6
Good
years.
for you.
Yeah,
Good for you.
I'm on day 28 right now. And it was a long goodbye. I got it down to like 1% nicotine. And it was hard. And it's hard every once in a while in the way that it's going to be for the rest of my life, where a tough situation comes up. Like, my daughter who died, today is her first birthday since she died. That's normally something that would just have me crawling my way back to a vaporizer. I mean, that just is true. I would be crawling my way back for nicotine at this point. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
I still dream about smoking sometimes.
Yeah. I know I will. I mean, I've smoked pipe. I loved it. I loved smoking pipe. I loved the feel of it in my mouth. I loved the little clacking noise that it makes when the little plastic and wood floating around in your back teeth. But I've lost those teeth since then. So I'm kind of like, I don't like that, And they said, it's from the smoke for sure. Like the areas that were decayed and everything. Oh, that's right where you positioned it. The pipe, and I used to chew, and wow, I can see where I used to chew in my mouth. So there's a lot of reasons for me to never go back, but I know that that's the hardship. I know it's the times that kind of take you off guard that will make it hard in the moment for you to just pass by it and say no thanks. But I'm doing really well, and I'm putting myself in situations that also being around people that are vaping or being around people that are smoking and just talking to them and dealing with it, and I feel very great, actually. I feel good.
one last thing real quick. The magnificence of your beard is an example to all us beard growers.
It's true.
That's fantastic.
Dude, I love you. And sorry for chomping on an apple here. It's true. I'm totally munching on an apple while talking to you. But yeah, thank you for the beard. And for everyone who's listening, I have a beard tutorial that I posted online. It's hilarious. It's the Paleocrat beard tutorial. I think it's on the Paleocrat Facebook page. PaleoCrat, and you can see the multiple steps that I take to get this magical beard that he's talking about. So thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it. And your beard is quite manly.
Yeah, I trimmed it down, but it'll make its reappearance in the winter.
Yeah, it screams masculinity, my friend. You are a very, very you're a manly man, and we're very grateful to have you on board. And thank you for following the adventures of my beard.
No problem.
All right, man.
We'll catch you later, Chris.
All
right. So we have a little bit of time. You want to talk about Donald Trump's swamp?
Yeah, I want to talk about Donald Trump's swamp.
Or not just his swamp. I guess it's all of our swamps.
Yeah, it's the swamp of everybody.
Yes, this is an article from The Week, Paul Waldman.
Yeah.
Of course Trump can't drain the swamp. No one can.
Mm-hmm.
So just diving into the article, there's a lot here. We'll try to get to as much as we can. The swamp Donald Trump promised in 2016 to drain was a metaphorical one. He cast the nation's capital as a fetid morass of corruption. I love that. And self-dealing where insiders gobble up taxpayer dollars and twist the government's functions to their own nefarious ends. Mm-hmm. So as the 2016 campaign came to a close, Donald promised again and again that he would drain that swamp, but without going into any detail. There were questions he might have answered, such as, what really goes on in the swamp? What is it about the swamp that's most problematic? How will you go about the draining of which you speak?
Yeah, I think those are all good questions.
I think he was asked that multiple times, too.
Well, and I think that he is correct in some ways when describing the swamp. You know, when talking about lobbyists, for example, I don't think he was incorrect in describing them. I don't think he was incorrect in describing the wheeling and dealing of politicians and special interests and how that works. It's all public domain. I mean, he's just kicking up the dust of something that's already being complained about by the masses. You know, how will you go about draining? That's a question, though, that he did not deal with. And I think that even his transition team didn't deal with.
Yeah.
Anybody that's overseeing how people get in, how placements get in, how other placements get booted out, those people, there's no chance in the world.
No.
Yeah. So you can say all you want. But if you don't have in place people who have the same agenda as you, who say, this swamp is pretty gross, these lobbyists or this and that is pretty bad, and this is what you've said, we need to make sure this happens. If those people aren't on board, you ain't going to get your people. You're not going to drain anything. You're going to just keep it's the same old door.
Yes.
The same old revolving stuff. And
especially if you look with the people that he hobnobbed with, none of those people are anti-swamp people in that sense. I mean, what is an appointment of a man like Rex Tillerson but a swamp appointment? This is a man who's the head of big oil, right? Or you have the guy who heads up the EPA. And those are corporate. They're absolute corporate appointments. And this whole idea of the swamp, I think the big major point that Donald missed about the swamp was a lot of people don't like the corporate bureaucracy that's there, and it comes in the form of lobbyists and other things. But the very entities that are in that he hobnobs with, that he spends most of his time, were the ones that he put into place. Which is why I think the calling of draining of the swamp was an easy one to know wasn't going to happen in the first place. Even if the intent was there, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and in fact, I think we even said this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know I did when talking about why I have a tempered understanding of what's going to happen with him. Why I don't have these lofty ideas, or very lofty in a negative sense either. Like, it's not going to be a major boon or a major bust. And I'm like, because a lot of this is simply outside of his control. I mean, he's not, and some of it is not even true anyway. Some of it he does, like you said. How do you believe entirely somebody who says he's going to drain the swamp when he's surrounded by swamp monsters?
That's right.
I mean, that just is ridiculous.
Yes.
And so if you say, is it likely going to do minor damage to the swamp that I don't like? Those are considerations people had. But if they believed that he was going to walk in and just say, okay, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy, you're out, replace you with good guy, good guy, good guy. You have a fantastical cartoon idea of how Washington, D.C. operates, as well as Donald Trump.
That's right.
You have a really cartoon idea for how Donald Trump works.
Yeah, well, I think he has a cartoonish idea for how it works. I think he instills the entire entity of assuming that D.C. is a cartoony place that you can solve problems very quickly. And I think, too, that even if you expected practical steps, you're not going to get them from him. If you expected something where the bill, the one that I'm waiting to see go into actual effect is the one about lobbyists and their terms after they're done. Is that going to be an actual thing, or is that going to be a lip service game? Which is where Donald Trump said that he was going to curb how many lobbyists were in there because after they were lobbyists, they couldn't, or after you're a politician, you couldn't become a lobbyist. We'll see if that really happens. I think that's a practical step, but I still think that's one that's going to be far too away from this administration to actually come into place.
It's far too lucrative. It's far too lucrative for people coming in to say, look, if let's say Donald Trump, it doesn't work. Let's say they get fired. What are they going to want to do? Are they going to want to go back to, some kind of service sector? Like, what are they going to want to do exactly? How are they going to want to do this? And to say, well, a person could leave government and go back and become a lobbyist because they've made connections. That's what they're going to do.
Sure.
That's what they're going to do. Or they're going to start up an enterprise of their own. Like, you have this going on with some of the people that were involved with the Hillary campaign, that now that it's over, they're creating different...
Onward or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's different things that they're getting involved with that are still... I mean, they may not be lobbyists, but boy, they're definitely lobbying for causes. I mean,
sure.
Right.
Well, and there's a reason why millionaires are interested in this $120,000 position. Or these, and not just president. I mean, I'm talking Congress, I'm talking Senate, all that. Why in the world do people who make millions of dollars, literally, have an interest in taking a job that pays them a tenth of their average salary? Because there's a connection game. It's an investment. It's almost like dedicating a year of service, if you will, towards getting yourself into doing the real deal, which is the business after you get out. I mean, we know of a lot of people that didn't seem like they were making a lot of money while they were in office, and the minute they came out, it seems like the path was just very perfectly placed for them to sprint towards being very, very wealthy. And that has a lot to do with the connections they made while they were a politician. And so that's the nature of the beast that we have to fight against too. And I can understand that. I'm with you on the idea of Donald Trump entirely, that if people think he was the guy that was going to come in there and sweep right through it, yeah, of course not. Mm-hmm. But again, I stress that even on a very just legitimate, practical, step-by-step basis, you're not going to get any of it from him either.
They say for a president to make a truly meaningful impact on the kinds of Washington habits and mores that people object to, they would need extraordinary political skills. I don't think that Trump's going to have that.
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not. We'll find out.
That's right. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Paleo Radio.
Now back to Joe and Jeremiah.
Straight dope gangsta. Every single Monday from 10 to noon Eastern Time. It's Paleo Radio. Hosted by Jeremiah Bannister.
And Joe Elder.
That's right. So always a bunch of fun. 616-656-1680 if you would like to be part of this conversation. Now listen, we have this Granville businessman.
Yes.
Accused in school district of censorship.
Yes.
Right? Threatens a lawsuit.
Dastardly censorship, if you will.
Dastardly censorship.
Yes.
Hold on. Turning up my headphones
a great,
little bit.
Great MLive article.
Yeah, great MLive article. All right. Granville businessman accused of school district of censorship, threatens lawsuit. This is by Monica Scott over at MLive. Diesel Tech owner, and how would you pronounce it? Is it Clauder?
I would say Clauder.
Clauder?
Clauder?
Yeah, we got somebody.
Clawiter.
Somebody local, maybe even him. Let this guy know, actually, that we're talking about him right now.
Yes.
If you know this guy, this owner of Diesel Tech, let him know. Say, hey, look, you're actually being talked about right now on AM/FM radio. And you should call 616-656-1680. They want to know how to pronounce your last name. So,
yeah,
this guy, that's why we want him to call. Said Monday, May 15th, he will sue Granville Public Schools over an alleged violation of his First Amendment rights unless officials run an advertisement with religious content he purchased for a school program. Quote, there isn't a single separation of church and state law on the books anywhere, he said, during a...
Except for the amendment that he referenced.
Okay, don't censor me. Our ad is a representation of who we are and what we stand for. So it kind of goes back to this thing earlier this year. The school district solicited businesses for ads for its boys' baseball program and banners for the baseball field fence through a third party, Game Day Media, as part of a fundraising project, according to Granville Superintendent Roger Barrup.
Superintendent Barrup.
Yeah, Superintendent Barrup. Yeah, so that's what he's doing there.
Nice. So, it appears that we have a little bit of the serious issue is that there's a conversation to be had about what the First Amendment actually means. What's its intent? Is the First Amendment just the right to free speech? Is that all it is? And that's the question that I think remains to be convinced, or why I remain to be convinced by this. Yeah. This is the First Amendment to the United States. It prohibits the making of any law respecting an establishment of religion, ensuring that there is no prohibition on the free exercise of religion, abridging the freedom of speech, infringing on freedom of the press, interfering with rights. Yeah. So there's obviously a little bit more, right, but playing into the first thing that it says, making any law respecting an establishment of religion. Yeah. What is that? Right? That's the actual part of the First Amendment that Mr. Brian Kay is having a problem with.
In fairness, I mean, I look at it and say Congress shall make no law doing this. This doesn't involve Congress. This would involve a school saying, look, we're allowing – and I know what they're talking about. If people can kind of visualize this, like if you've been to a game and you see out on the field – and it's either out in the field or I don't know if it'd be in the little pamphlets that they pass out or anything like that. But there would be a sign, and then on that sign would have a bunch of religious words. In fact, it would say God, country, diesel.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, so God, country, and diesel, and it would run an ad with a word search puzzle that contained 20 words, including 6 religious words such as God, Jesus, and Christ. He said he was presented a version without the religious references by the media group. And I guess it would kind of depend in a way.
It's a public school.
It's a public school.
And it's a public school's baseball field. And they are a government building. And they adhere to government laws.
Even ads?
I would think so.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Yeah,
it's an interesting
for ads, one. It'd be interesting, and it would depend on where it's being promoted. I could agree with that too.
Yeah,
but I think that there's something to it. I mean, maybe I'm doing the slippery slope argument here, admittedly, but how far away are we to? Well, we think we can do a little mural of Jesus inside the public school because that's what our beliefs are. And we're willing to pay the painter to do it.
If it was an ad, though. I mean, it seems like a temporary contractual thing, like where you have to pay for a certain amount of time. And so it's a time-limited thing, not like a mural that would be inside the building all the time. It would be a flag, or it'd be like one of those banners or a little poster board alongside any other poster board stuff, any other thing that people. I mean, what if you're a business, for example, and your logo has a cross on it, but you're, let's say, a company that all you do, or you got an ichthus fish and you sell fish. You're whatever, but it has a religious symbol on it. Is that religious symbol allowed? And if it's not, is that your logo that just can't be on your banner that you're
in a public school? Probably, yeah.
And so that's what I'm
saying. You can advertise everywhere else in a private setting.
But I don't know. I'd be interested. I would be interested to hear from somebody, like somebody, an attorney or something, that would know if does that qualify as a separation of church and state issue.
Could CFI buy one?
That would be a great question. That's what I'm wondering. If I don't think CFI would be barred from doing it. I mean, I guess It would be interesting. That would be a way to find out, though.
That'd be
a way
test.
is to say, look, if you called, too bad it's too late, because eventually this whole thing delayed all of this project. It was supposed to raise money for boys' sports.
Yeah,
but it prompted a cancellation. They ended up canceling this whole thing. They weren't able to provide the sponsors even close to a full season of advertising.
Yeah.
So they said, well, look, a full refund is being given to all businesses who were hoping to have a banner hung on our fence and an ad in our program. And Diesel Tech guy said it's unfortunate that standing up for his First Amendment rights will take thousands of dollars from kids in the baseball program. He said as a longtime business in the district, he wanted to be supportive.
Yep. And how many businesses other than his had religious garb on there that could have gone up? All of them didn't, but his. So he took the thousands of dollars from those kids.
Yeah, and this guy is a joker if he says that he wasn't treating this like activism. I mean,
This is
basically
absolutely
he's
activism.
saying, look, here's an opportunity for me to be an activist. I was just a regular guy in town just trying to be supportive. It's nothing big. And I'm like, you're totally lying through your teeth, champ. Kind of like that lady with the nativity gate. That happened in Dorr.
It's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same. Where I brought up a question as to who put a nativity scene on public property. Lo and behold, it was the activist in town. But when Fox 17 covered the activist in town, they didn't put that she was an activist.
She's just a little old
they just
lady.
put grandmother.
Yeah,
Just grandma.
Concerned grandma.
Yeah, this guy's trying to play that card like he's just a guy. I'm just a business owner.
Yeah.
They're just coming against me. No big deal. No, bro, you're an activist. In fact, you're such an activist that you'll pay money to do super controversial things inside of schools.
Yeah.
So cut it out, bro.
Well, and my true opinion on this is in terms of the legality of it, I'm not very sure. But one thing that I do think is a major portion of it is if you're going to have religious symbols or different religious connotations in your business logos, you're already isolating yourself from the majority of the people that are walking by your store in the first place. And my point is, in a lot of cases, places are okay with that. Hobby Lobby is perfectly fine saying that we pretty much serve only Christian people. And that's in a way of how they hire. A lot. I've looked at their resumes. The resumes say you have to have a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Wow.
So, they've got a pretty high standard there. Alcohol test, drug test for alcohol at Hobby Lobby. When they do that, that's fine for them to do. I'm not saying they can't. They're definitely thinning their herd in terms of people that are interested in coming into Hobby Lobby as per se maybe a Michael's, in my opinion. But my point is, that's fine for you to do that. But there will come with limitations where how you throw it around. It's probably just not smart to have a bunch of religious symbolism in your business logo is kind of my overall point.
I guess I'd look at it like this. And I'd say if somebody has a religious symbol in their logo, but they're not a religious organization, it's their choice. And I wouldn't want them to be barred from advertising in sports program stuff or anything like that because of that. Because of their logo that it pre-existed, like it wasn't made for this particular thing, kind of like this guy, and his ad is made for this. So I would say in those situations, there are many services that may have a cross or an ichthus fish or a dove or anything like that, or Christian services in the name even, that still provides to many different people, like the Croc Center in town here is owned by Salvation Army. And big time Salvation Army stuff everywhere. Like, you even see people walking through in their uniforms and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yet, most of the people that I've talked to there, they know of my beliefs and stuff like that, and they got a big cross on the front. It's massive, and yet they provide services to people regardless of whether they're gay,
yes,
or any of that. I would hope that the Croc Center,
and if they had a baseball field, could see if I put their board on their advertising in there.
It's a private facility.
Well, but that's the whole thing. And the baseball field is a public one that has rules on religious symbols. And that's about as far as it goes for me.
Yeah. All right. Definitely worth a debate. You can join the conversation by giving us a call, 616-656-1680, with your opinion. We're going to go right now to Catherine. She's listening on streaming audio. She's calling from GR. Welcome to Paleo Radio.
Hi, Jeremiah. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
First thing I want to say is congratulations on your 29 days of no vaping.
Well, 29, you're congratulating me for tomorrow. So, yeah, no, you're good. I'm
28 days?
Yeah, I'm 28 days in right now. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
So, and the second thing I want to tell you is that I'm out of e-juice today. My e-cigarette has like a little bit of juice in it, and I'm not buying anymore.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you.
So I'm going to be on the same boat with you here. I'm jumping on your brigade.
Yeah, well, look, hey, I got to warn you, you might cry. You know, I'm serious. It's a thing. I told people, they said, is it harder than quitting cigarettes? And I said, yes and no. On the one hand, the physical part, not really, because cigarettes is just its own beast. I mean, it's its own thing. So physically, it's not as bad. Psychologically, it goes everywhere with you. Vapes do. You know, vapes are they're a sly beast. It's a sly drug, and it finds its way into a lot more places because it doesn't smell bad and because it doesn't make people all ticked off and everything. And so,
right.
So people will let you do it. So I wish you the absolute best. And if you ever need support or anything, make sure to reach out to me on Facebook, and we'll keep each other accountable.
Of course.
All right, we're running out of time. Thank you so much. What else, real quick?
I just wanted to say happy birthday to Sami today, because today is a very special day.
All right.
And she's like, she may be gone, but she lives in my heart every day. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, thank you so much. We got to go. We'll be back
You're
right
welcome,
after
Jeremiah.
this. We'll be right back with more Paleo Radio.
For debates, interviews, or speeches, contact PaleoRadio Show at gmail.com.
You love to hate 'em, you hate to love 'em. You just can't get enough of 'em, you sick freaks. Paleo Radio's on the air.
Welcome back to Paleo Radio. And if you love the show, folks, you can support us by going to patreon.com/Paleo Radio Show.
Yeah.
It's a great way to directly give us the monies so we can run and have a professional life here, and we love it. It is what we're aspiring to, but the biggest part of donating directly to us and why we want to go that route is it avoids the idea of having to skip certain stories because of different sponsorships. For instance, if we get picked up by a big, super duper awesome radio station, we would love to do that. However, that'll come with a certain list of addendums to our contract, which says we can't talk about certain things. If you guys fund us directly, we can talk about whatever we would like every single time.
Yes,
so it's a huge benefit. So thank you to those who are already donating on Patreon. We know who you are, and we do appreciate you. And thank you to those who are going to go right now at my behest and do it.
And, you know, I posted something yesterday that I've kept secret now for how many months, Joe, about being flagged by Facebook?
It's been a month or so,
It's been almost 2 months probably, that my personal account has been flagged by Facebook. This has had a dramatic impact, in fact, on visibility and reach. And we see this the way that numbers play themselves out. And so I finally was open about it. I said, look, I've been flagged by Facebook personally, my personal one, which has made it hard because we publish all of our stuff, all of our podcasts. Once it's uploaded to Spreaker, we upload it over at Facebook and hope to get it out there. We can't boost.
Yeah, we can't boost our show. Yeah, we can't boost any of our posts.
We can't boost. We've been barred from an ad manager account. So we can't, there's not even an ad manager account. And we've sent 2 appeal letters, 2 professional appeal letters from a verified account. That's the thing. It's a verified account. There's been no explanation as to why this has happened at all. You know, so when we say, look, we could really, we strongly encourage you to support our program. Yes, we are. We're pulling an atlas here, and we're carrying it on our shoulders and saying, look, we ain't going to give up. We're going to keep pushing forward. And good luck, Mr. Zuckerberg, on stopping us. You ain't got the power and force. We're going to keep on marching forward. And we have an audience of people who love our stuff, and they understand the importance and the value of this program in their lives and in the life of America right now. And I mean that. I'm sorry if it sounds grandiose, but when you're surrounded by a bunch of kooks and you're surrounded by a culture drowning in voodoo, right? Conspiratorial fervor all over the place, fake news like crazy, you need someone and you need a program that's sane. that's willing to give credit where it's due for real. I know it sounds boring, but boy, when you're surrounded by a culture and a media culture that increasingly looks more like the National Enquirer and Bat Boy than it does what you would see with Edward Murrow or people in the past, reputable people, you need shows like this. Yeah. And shows like this will only survive. This last thing I'll say on this rant, man, is that there's a movie called what is it? Corporation? Is that the name? Anyway, I think it's called Corporation, and I think it was by Naomi Klein, if I remember correctly. Naomi Klein involved stuff over at The Nation, elsewhere. Made this story about it, and I watched it in school because there was a show on one of these Fox affiliates called The Investigators. And they went to this farm, and this farm, they were pumping them full of these drugs, and a certain hormone that they were giving these cows. And boy, these cows were looking gnarly. I mean, falling over. They couldn't stand up. They were like falling over. They were bloated. Stuff was oozing out. It was bad, like all around. So they were looking at this, and they started investigating what was going on with this stuff. Lo and behold, one of the sponsors to that affiliate, right? I don't even think it was to that one. I think it was to the Fox Umbrella Company. Yeah. It wasn't even to that particular affiliate.
Just within Fox.
Within Fox, across the board. Because they had a sponsor that was paying mad loot, that was responsible for that particular drug, they said, can't talk about it. Nix it. It's done.
Nix it.
It's over. And if you go forward with it, you're fired. They went forward with it, and they're fired. They tried going forward with it, and they're fired. That's a reality for people in this business. We know that. And we don't want to deal with that. We don't want people lording that over us.
Yeah, that's the biggest intent of us is we don't want to have those situations where we have something to say and we aren't allowed to say it because of the channels that we've developed through doing the show, which I know a lot of people kind of think, well, why are you guys talking about this now? It's not like you're the biggest show on earth, right? That's exactly the point, though. We're trying to build this foundation so when we get to a point that we want to be when we're a little further ahead, we haven't set ourselves in a back channel. And the way we do that is by appealing directly to the listeners of the show and the people that love the show and ask them to support us. And by support, I mean 25 cents a show, $1 a show even, something small like that. That all of that flows in the right direction. All of that helps us. And what else helps us? People who call in.
Yes, and speaking of a caller, we got Brandy. She's listening on streaming audio. She's calling from Byron Center. Welcome, Brandy, to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to give you a little bit of a hard time.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Well, as I'm listening to the show, I actually was calling to do a shout-out for our little tiny dancer and her happy 13th birthday.
Yay.
Officially a pain-in-the-butt teenager.
Yes.
But I'm listening to your conversation, and it's making me think of with the controversy that's going on with Last Man Standing.
What's the controversy with Last Man Standing?
They canceled Last Man Standing, which is the Tim Allen show, a very conservative program that is being broadcast on ABC on Friday nights. And there's some debate as to the real story to the cancellation. ABC is claiming it's because of a financial matter, as it is originally done through Fox, and Fox gets their networking thing, but they're at their 6th-year program where they can then take it over and become an ABC thing, and ABC is indicating that it's not cost-effective for them. And also that it's on the Friday night lineup, and they don't want Friday night to be comedy anymore. So they've canceled Last Man Standing, but Last Man Standing is, according to some reports out there, one of their currently top-rated watched shows.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So the controversy is because Tim Allen's character, which is Mike Baxter, very conservative, very right-wing, although his wife and one of his daughters, very left-wing, he and another daughter, very right-wing, very opposite sides, and they have a lot of controversy on the show politically.
Huh. So it's like ABC. Yeah. It's interesting to me hearing this, because it's easy, it seems, and in fact, wildly popular to have a conservative character, but surrounded by liberal characters who, it's like you can relate to it's kind of, take this, American Dad. American Dad is a good example of this. The main character in American Dad, Stan, wildly conservative, right? Like generically, ludicrously conservative. His son
outdoor
is,
man.
Yeah. So but he's surrounded by people who are smarter, more clever, more open-minded, more accepting, and so you can relate to him, but it's more like a joke in a way. And I think that those are easy, but if you have a conservative person as a central person, and it's not a joke on that person, maybe it would be an interesting discussion. I did not know this was even going on.
And they have that with Parks and Rec with Ron Swanson.
That's right, with Ron Swanson. Yeah.
They now have, I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't realize you were talking because I think there's a little bit of delay between my phone and your conversation, so I apologize for the
sorry about that.
But no, they now have, from one of the things I've seen, and you can see this on Facebook, and they have little snippets of a snowflake where they see the snowflake episode where Mandy, which is his central daughter, his oldest daughter, is in the middle but married to a very liberal Canadian husband. Middle daughter, complete airhead. Youngest daughter, very, very much conservative and right-wing. He himself, he's the outdoor man. He's outspoken. He dogs on Hillary and Obama all the time. He dressed up as Trump for Halloween. But he's also, you see him bend towards, he's very forgiving in a lot of ways. He's not a joke. He is, and the liberals are a little bit more of a joke. But he does tend to bend a little bit here and there, and he learns and he grows and he blah, blah, blah. But there's an episode where he's supposed to speak at Mandy's graduation. And Mandy is just an absolute airhead, but she comes to him and she says, hey, I need to preview your speech. And it starts out with, well, what do you mean? Well, we're trying to find out about, trying to remove microaggressions. And he looks at her and she says, we don't want to make them midgets angry? And she's replying, well, no, that's a microaggression to offend people. He's like, I know what a microaggression is. Well, fine, let's do this. Dear ladies and gentlemen, stop right there. You can't do ladies and gentlemen because some people may not identify as one or the other, so you may offend somebody. Keep going. Oh. Well, America is a land of opportunity. Stop right there. That, that implies that if you work hard, you will succeed, and that offends people who have worked hard and not succeed. He's like, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you're going to work hard, you're going to succeed.
It's interesting, too, because, that description, there was another show, actually, that had an episode that kind of tackled some of the same issues, and it was The Simpsons. And they actually had it to where The Simpsons were kind of criticizing your really hardcore activist progressive left, especially campus left, and some of these things. But as you're describing it, I don't know many shows on primetime that are that way. And that's the thing, too, is that's why it kind of opens the door for a lot of people to say, Hollywood doesn't really represent my values, or that mainstream TV, it's weird because mainstream TV doesn't seem like it really reflects a huge demographic in this country.
Well, I think the Ron Swanson one's a good example where Ron Swanson doesn't get teased for being a hardcore libertarian on Parks and Rec. It actually, they do shows that are dedicated to him proving his points. Right. And he's seen kind of as a fatherly figure. So
we got to go. We're out of time there.
Yes.
Hey, love you guys.
Thank you.
Big hugs, Jeremiah.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, guys. Yes, we are at the bottom of hour number 1. We're going to get to the top of hour number 2 of Paleo Radio shortly. Please stick around. We have much more to talk about, including FCC regulations, how poor nations are more committed to wildlife conservation, how chess has saved a city, or possibly even further than that, and how deep leaks are a conspiracy theory or not. It's going to be a ton of fun, guys. A lot of good conversations, and you can call in 616-656-1680. Stick around, folks. Paleo Radio will return.
You are now entering Paleo Radio.
Oh, we're now into hour number 2.
Deep state.
Big time, man. We're head first right into this. crazy edition of Paleo Radio every single Monday from 10 to noon Eastern Time. And, I used to say Eastern Standard, and I still believe in it. I still, if I write, I try to say Eastern Standard Time. I like it. I'm old-fashioned in that sense. I like the AP. But it's easy. When you have an international audience and people all across the nation in different time zones, to just simply say Eastern Time, it seems to just make it a little smidge easier. Not too much, though. So we have a whole bunch of great topics. Listen, if you want to join the conversation, 616-656-1680. We've had a bunch of really great topics so far, but we did not want to move forward with anything else until we discussed a scientist winning Miss USA.
Yeah.
It's actually cool on interesting on two levels.
There's a lot of interest into this because it clashes together some norms that people aren't used to seeing. It challenges some social norms that are probably not actually particularly true. So it was really good in that sense, where how often has someone who is a scientist won the Miss USA competition? Not very often, but how often have they been slammed for having intellectual conservative views on the Miss USA
I think she's
response.
a black lady.
And she's
African American.
She's also a black woman, yes.
Yeah. So 25-year-old scientist from the District of Columbia who works for the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Wow. So let's just back that train up for a second.
She's already more accomplished than either one of us are in our entire lives, and she's 25. and that's before she even entered into Miss USA or anything.
It's getting warm in here, Joe. Might have to take the shirt off again.
No joke.
So, all right, 25-year-old scientist from the District of Columbia who works for the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission was crowned Miss USA on Sunday. Yeah. And she did it after making some controversial comments about political issues during the competition. Kara McCullough caused a firestorm on social media after she gave conservative answers to questions, saying she wasn't a feminist and that she thought people need to have a job to have health care.
Yeah.
She said, "I'm definitely going to say it's a privilege." Now, this is McCullough when asked if access to medical care was a right, as liberals such as Senator Bernie Sanders say, or a privilege, as many conservatives say. She then added, "As a government employee, I'm granted health care, and I see firsthand that for one to have health care, you need to have jobs." Now, I don't know if you want to have health care, you need to have jobs. I don't know if she means an individual needs to have jobs, or if to have health care in general that you need to have jobs that are pumping in tax money so that you can have it. I mean, obviously, in this particular situation, it seems like she's not saying the second part.
Yeah.
That's more Bernie Sanders.
Well,
I guess.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to say because in a way I still agree with her.
Yeah.
In a way I still agree that, yes, to have a nation that's giving everybody health care, somebody's got to be working and making money to be generating the income to be covering it, right? On the other hand, too, in the 1950s, if we're going back to, Leave It to Beaver and the white picket fence and everything, one person's income did pay for about 5 people's health care back in the day. So that was radically socialist compared to what the expectation is today, which is that all individuals that are 25 or over are just insuring themselves. That wasn't necessarily the case way back when either. So it's only to say that the conservative view of having a job to pay for your health care is not as violently awful as people assume it is. But where they're failing to bring into the argument is that people don't get paid well enough right now for a single household to have one income that's affording everyone's health insurance, which that kind of runs hand in hand with the idea of working to have health insurance.
Which
right?
kind of, in a way that's a little bit humorous, when she said you need to have jobs, that's actually kind of true. You can't just mainly have one. It's really hard nowadays to just have one job and get health care. You need jobs.
Yes.
you need jobs. So she's incidentally correct a little bit.
She didn't mean to, but she did.
You need to have jobs to do that. Miss District of Columbia was asked, and in fact, they were all asked whether they consider themselves feminists and what they think about feminism. Miss District of Columbia replied that she likes to transpose the word feminism to equalism. Said, "I don't want to call myself a feminist," McCullough said. "Women were just as equal as men, especially in the workplace."
Yeah.
It's a brave statement.
It is.
It's a highly contested one. I know the factual feminist would agree with that, but I know a lot of other feminists would like to say that she's not very factual, and that's where the debate would go.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think to me it just turns into semantics when she sees feminist, does she see it as the word feminism doesn't mean that women hold themselves to a higher regard than men? And that I think in her answer, she kind of already gave a tell as to what she thinks. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't view it that way. I actually view equalism and feminism in terms of semantics as the same word. I don't see feminism as one where it said we as women are looking to supersede the rights of men. Most of it is with attention towards equality, and not. I've yet to hear many feminist arguments that say we would like to supersede the powers of man. And I mean, we'd really like to gain access to it to impose ourselves onto men. I think it is equal.
McCullough graduated with a chemistry degree from South Carolina State University. And after the contest, she said this, and this is probably more palatable for most people. I believe we've come a long way, and there's more work to be done. I think domestically we're making progress, and I do believe that we will become equal one day.
Good for her.
So I think that was kind of the end with that, and said she's extremely thankful for the opportunity. And she just wants to encourage so many women nationwide to find their passion in any subject possible and understand that nothing is difficult if you really, truly put the work in for it. Now, that last statement, look, I would love to dunk. I watched Spud Webb dunk as a kid, and I said, man, if I get to be 5'7" one day, maybe I'll be able to do this. And I tried. Yeah. I did a lot of jumping exercises. I even had those shoes that were big on the front and had kind of a spring to kind of, beef up your jump so you'd get stronger calves and everything else and be able to jump higher. That ain't going to happen.
No.
I can work on that. If I just, if I really put my work into it, there are certain limitations in life. But I think that it is a powerful thing to tell people, find what you love in your life. Find what makes you click and see if you can do that. Fight hard to make sure that you can do something that you love with your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And guess what? The thing that you love, you're probably not going to be the best at compared to somebody else.
Right.
That's also the truth. Like, this is a bit of conservative Joe breaking a little bit of heart, but that's true. Maybe you love painting and you found a career in painting and that you've made a good living in painting, and that's wonderful, but you're still not the best painter in the world, and you're not going to be. And that is the reality of this, too, where with conservatism that I kind of challenge with that is, yes, work hard and you can truly be anything you want if you work really hard. And some people have to work less and they'll still be better than you because that's the way the world is. We got a caller on the line. It's Mark calling from GR, wants to talk about Sami. How are you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
What did you want to share with us today?
Oh, I just wanted to tell Jeremiah that, I love him, man.
Thank you.
The whole family,
Yeah.
We had a great time on our trip. There's just been.
Yeah, tell everybody who you are first, okay?
Oh, okay.
You're a friend of mine. This is a friend, and I performed his wedding actually recently.
Yep. 2 weeks ago.
Yep, a couple weeks ago.
Yep, just over a couple weeks ago. I got to know Sami through the skating rink, where I was one of the DJs, where Jeremiah came and coincidentally ended up being a fellow DJ. And, with everything I have, I just want to let you know, not a day goes by, not an instant goes by where I don't see Sami in my life. The whole family. It's just how it is, and today is a very special day. We all know that it's Sami's birthday, and I just wanted to reach out and let you know that,
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
With the topic we were just talking about there, with you can find something you love, and no matter what, somebody's always going to be better with you. I absolutely agree with that. The industry I'm in, I'm a welder. Mm-hmm. Am I the best welder in the world? No. Do I strive to be the best that I can be? Absolutely. But there's always going to be somebody better than me. And in social media, what I'm seeing a lot now, like with social media and the way the world's progressing now, like there's always going to be somebody better, and there's a lot of people that'll hate on you if you're better than them instead of just showing somebody the love. My best advice I can give to anybody is find what you're good at, love it, continue to grow, and you find that person that's better than you. Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do is absorb as much knowledge as you can from them, learn from them, and just continue to try to push and be better than yourself every day.
And look, this guy is he's a humble guy. He's a modest dude, but the truth is his cars, he cuts these cars down. He gets them these lowriders. I mean, so if you like seeing these cars that are like competition ready, you see them driving down the road and they're all decked out, these awesome looking vehicles with hydraulics and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's the kind of world this dude's in. And he has fantastic work. In fact, if you go and check out his stuff, he posts a lot of it on his Facebook page. He has a lot of really cool cars and trucks that you can see and see his work. So thank you so much for calling, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm grateful that you're such a big supporter of Samantha and of Team Tiny Dancer and of Paleo Radio. So thank you for calling our live show.
Yeah, I just took a few minutes and stepped outside, and I had to call today.
All right, you're the man.
So,
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Love you, brother.
Yep.
Bye.
616-656-1680. He, for those just joining, he was calling because today is my Angela and I. It's our daughter's 13th birthday. She died in July of brain cancer, but she lived a powerful life. And so there's been some people calling, just saying some nice things about Samantha, as today would be the day that she'd become a teenager. Her life was taken very quickly with the terrible and wicked kind of cancer. But she, as I said, powerful girl, powerful life. And speaking of powerful, man, something that she actually loved. And, we don't have a lot of time to get into this topic right now, but I know we want to, is this chess thing.
Yeah.
To see a game, we used to play chess all the time. In fact, it's a bucket list item for me to put together the Bannister Family Chess Club.
Yeah.
That's something that she wanted. She wanted to make a little shield for a little crest that would be specific for our club and that we could make chess available to kids because she really thought that it helped kids to focus and that it helped to just concentrate and think through problems. And she thought that that was a really good thing. Well, lo and behold, as we're going through looking for some notes, we find that, there's actually chess is proven, at least in one place around the world, to do this very exact thing, So it'll be fun to talk about that and some of the other stuff that we've got coming up. Of course, people can call with their stories if they'd like to talk about any of the subjects that we've discussed today. We encourage you, give us a call, or if you'd like to say something about Sammy's 13th birthday that would have been today, you're welcome to give us a call, 616-656-1680.
Love Paleo Radio? Join the club. Support our work by visiting patreon.com/Paleo Radio today.
Back to Eagle and Dragon.
Welcome back to Paleo Radio at 95.3 FM. You know it, 1680 AM and the greater Grand Rapids area, 102.5 FM. We are broadcasting here for the love of it, for the love of radio, and for the love of you guys. Welcome back to the show.
It's totally true. Totally for the love. It's not for the money. It ain't happening. The fame and the fortune.
Yes.
That goes along with it. We're going to be on Robin Leach's reboot of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yes. Yeah. Jeremiah-Bannister.
And Joe Elder, Paleo Joe. Yeah, so it'd be a whole bunch of fun. I got to say this. We didn't mention this at all. But Chris Cornell died.
Yes.
Over the week.
Yeah, from Audio Slave
and Soundgarden and a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, this guy...
Original grunge guy.
Grunge. Huge. One of the top 10 vocalists from the 90s, I think, in my opinion. Amazing vocalist, an amazing singer, but there was so many things about his life that were really crazy. My wife, Angela, she was going through and reading about it and how he was involved in drugs and addiction even back before he was 15 years old.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was like 13 dealing with drug addiction and stuff like that. And, so you've got a guy, and I don't know how much of this is true. I haven't seen it, or I haven't read any articles about it per se, but I've seen a picture that looks like him having his kid baptized in an Eastern Orthodox church recently. And I read somewhere, a guy named Brett Fawcett in Canada said that he converted before his death, that he converted to Eastern Orthodoxy. And his death, when it was first talked about, it was sudden and it was unexpected. It was suicide.
Yeah.
And that's why. I mean, people did not know. A lot of people close to him did not know that was in the pipe, for him. So definitely our hearts go out to the family and to everybody who's been impacted by this. And truth is, I cried. I mean, this is something that it kind of took me by surprise. I didn't think I would cry over it. But growing up, I mean, I was homeless. And I didn't have any place to sleep. But I had this little CD player. And I only had 2 CDs, and I had one of theirs. And I would just listen to those songs. And I spent a lot of nights alone, and a lot of nights really scared. And I identified with his music. And so I didn't follow him after that too long. I mean, with all the other ventures he did in his life and stuff. And after I graduated and kind of moved on, I wasn't as much into it. But that portion of my life, I mean, there are songs that really help to define me and kind of who I am. And it's just a powerful thing. And so I was really moved by it. I mean, I'm trying not to cry right now. I'm pretty hit by this. And so our hearts go out to the family and to all the people who've been affected by the death of Chris Cornell. If you would like to give us a call, 616-656-1680. We'd love to hear from you. But this article here, the ancient game that saved a village, I didn't even believe it at first. Yeah. It sounds so outrageous, but this idea that chess saved a village, and it said 50 years ago, Marottical, if I'm pronouncing it properly, Marottical, Marottical?
I believe so.
I don't know. Anyway, was rife with alcoholism and illicit gambling. But everything changed after one man taught the town to play an ancient game of strategy. It came to this town by one dude, okay? And it's this tea shop that was started to flake like coin scrapings on a scratch card that were describing the way that the place looks, this tea shop, and how there's a bunch of kind of rowdy people in there, and they're all excited in this place that's being described, but what they're excited about isn't anything to do with what's going on online or some political controversy or anything else. It was a chess game.
Yes.
And that was what was pumping us up. And here, quote, chess helps us overcome more difficulties and suffering, said the owner of the tea shop. On a chessboard, you are fighting, as we are also fighting the hardships in our daily life.
Yes.
And so they're kind of looking at that as a way to say, look, you're getting attacked from multiple angles. You have weaknesses in your plan or your layout. How do you bolster that? How do you strengthen it? How do you focus on a key square and say, this right here is a weak spot that I need to focus on to get what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever strategy you're working on, they're taking that and saying, well, we're kind of extrapolating that and trying to apply it to our lives a little bit.
That's right. Yeah. It says the bus stop opposite of the tea shop was full of people, but no one seemed to be going anywhere. Instead, the gathered crowd were squatted on their haunches, watching the intense chess match play out between the two graying gentlemen. The men sat cross-legged and barefoot, with their sarongs taut across their thighs. Mm-hmm. Friends on pavements, spouses on benches, colleagues over shop countertops. The black and white board perforated every scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying Baby John, that's the guy, that's what they call him. He's the president of the Chess Association of that area, said, here, 4,000 of the 6,000 population are playing chess almost daily.
That's great.
That's huge.
That's great.
At least one person in every household knows how to play.
It at least teaches you basic strategy.
Yeah, they say that it was a really different place. They said that in villages in northern Kerala, alcoholism and illicit gambling were rife among the population. He opened up this tea shop, and he started teaching chess to these addicts, and these people were struggling. He said not only did the archaic game scupper alcoholism and supersede clandestine card games, but it has ingrained itself into this area's identity. And according to Baby John, it continues to protect the town's residents from modern pitfalls. He says this, chess improves concentration, builds character, and creates community. We don't watch television here. We play chess and talk to each other, even the kids.
Interesting. And it says the positive response from students paired with their belief of the sanative qualities of the game have led the Chess Association to request that the authorities include chess as part of the official school syllabus. This, they believe, will aid their vision of living in a village where everyone plays chess.
Yeah. Hey, That's a big statement. I mean, can you just imagine saying, "Hey, yeah, we want a city. Our vision in this town is we want to make it so that everybody here plays chess."
Yeah, what they haven't realized is that you can get drunk and play chess too.
They haven't figured that out
yet.
yet.
You can drink and play at the same time.
Yeah, drunk chess. That seems like something that would be a really interesting game.
We'll just call it dress.
Just
drunk chess.
Yeah, drunk chess. All right, Elizabeth in Zealand, streaming audio. She's calling to talk about diesel tech. What's going on there, Elizabeth?
Oh, we owe Mr. Brian Clowder gratitude because back in 2015, when he decided he wasn't going to serve openly gay people, he also decided to have a town meeting in Jenison, where we live.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, and that's actually how we got to know a lot more of our neighborhood people, is because we decided to have a kind of a protest outside of there where he had, like, Bradley Dean and some other people.
Yeah.
And that's actually how we ended up getting to know, like, all of the rest of our neighborhood people.
Oh, really? And how do you pronounce the last? Is it Clowder?
I think it's Clowder.
Clowder. And now he's pretty much kind of a politically active person. I mean, wouldn't you say he's holding these rallies and doing these sort of free speech movements? I mean, how do you feel?
I was kind of hoping he went and crawled back in his hole, but he decided to come back out. So,
and now
it didn't go well for him.
You live in the Zealand area, is it?
Yeah, we live in Zealand now, but we were living in Jenison at the time.
Okay, and did you know of diesel tech before any of this came up, or?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, and why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about that rally? Was that was in 2015 now, or was that 2016? I can't recall.
Yeah, that was 2015, and they called themselves Jenison for Love, and several churches and local people came out, and it was supposed to be, hula hooping and bubbles and fun stuff. Everybody was it was supposed to be very peaceful. Some of the teenagers went in to the town hall meeting. And it got a little bit, because teenagers, they get a little passionate. So actually the leader, Julia, went in and told them that's not how we behave, and actually got everybody having a nice discussion by the end of it.
Good. That's good. I mean, anytime there's a good discussion, that's kind of what we're all trying to get to.
So he's bringing people together.
Oh, yeah, and it was beautiful. It was peaceful, and everything was great.
Bringing people together.
Great.
Yeah, I had some friends that went down there. They have some students who attend, actually really close family friends who had some students that attended there who are gay. And so they were very interested in protesting that particular guy in that particular event. So thank you so much for calling, Elizabeth. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes. All right. Yep. Bye. 616-656-1680 if you'd like to be part of the conversation. Yeah, this diesel tech thing, man. It's just hilarious. And for those who may not know exactly what that is, there's a guy here in this area who he's a pretender. He's one of those guys who pretends that he's just a normal Joe, just an everyday guy who's just saying, look, I'm just trying to do good and make things happen, and I'm just not minding my own business, really, and everybody's just jumping on me.
Well, you got to pick on me.
You're kind of an activist, and you're kind of poo-pooing on even things to do with the funding of boys' sports. That just like, wow, man, really? All over you?
Yeah.
It's all about you, bro. Or your issue. I'm so sorry. It's not just about you. It's about a bigger issue that transcends everything else. Yeah, it's yours, though.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's your transcendental cause that you're thrusting upon everybody else. So go blow, guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. My whole thing is, it's all right to be an activist. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Obviously, it's a good thing. It's just I take issue with people that are involved vehemently in activist ideals, but then go back out and say they aren't activists.
Yeah, and this is a guy, by the way. This is a dude. Earlier in the show, we were talking about a guy who he's going into these schools, and the schools were trying to raise money for boys' sports programs, and they were doing this thing for advertisers, but he made his advertisement was just, dripping with Jesus. And they said, well, we're not really sure that this is going to work for the program that we're putting forward, and the delay that was done because this guy wasn't giving up on this and he was threatening to sue and everything else, that at the end of the day, well, they had to give refunds to people. They weren't able to actually do the program.
Yes.
And so it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, well, it's a real bummer that it costs these kids thousands of dollars, but this is a big cause I'm fighting for.
See, that's right. And,
yeah.
And I don't blame anyone for having different opinions than I have. In my opinion about it, I think if I was a baseball player, I would be mad at him for having taken all the money that was already set up and established for us to use by making this a political issue. Me as a personally as an avid baseball fan and a former player would have been extremely agitated and upset with him because there was a lot of money already set up and ready to be handed over that got put into this flux because he had to make it a political issue.
Yeah, I want to say something real quick. Big shout out to Lauren Carter for sacrificing her sleeping time so that she can listen to Paleo Radio. And yes, it's totally worth it. 616-656-1680 to be part of the conversation. We'll be right back right after this.
Now back to Joe and Jeremiah.
If you haven't seen the video of my 10-hour VA experience, you got to go check it out.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you got to go check it out. It's over at our Facebook page, which if you have not liked it, you're out of your mind. It's a verified Facebook page, and so if you're following Paleo Radio and you like it, and you set it to see first, and then you look and you realize there's not a check mark by it, it's totally a fake one.
That's right.
It's not a fake one. It's just not the real one.
It's not the real deal.
It's not the real dealsy. And so if you want the real dealsy, you're going to need to go to facebook.com/PaleoRadio. Right now, let's go to a phone app. Someone listening to a phone app on an Android calling from Battle Creek. It's Brian. Welcome to Paleo Radio, Brian.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello,
hey,
hello.
Brian.
What's up, guys?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good. Doing well. Looking forward to making that trip to Old GR today.
Yeah, we're looking. Heard you're coming up to see JB.
I am.
Yeah, he was going to come originally. He was going to spend the night. This is Brian. This is my friend Brian. I won't throw out the last name. I'll just say it's old Bry guy. And he's going to be a friend of mine going back in time. He was going to be up here and spend the night and actually be in studio just to see us, just to watch and see and enjoy the show as a live studio audience guy. But he's got some back issues. And so he decided to stay back and that they're going to make the trip today because we're going to take him to my barber. And we're going to get his beard shaped and dolled up because he's going to be part of a competition coming up soon. Tell us real quickly. Just say what that competition is.
It's called Battle of the Beards 4, put on by Mad Viking Beard Company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic.
And
where is this?
It's in Warrendale, Pennsylvania.
Oh, so you're driving out of state. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going to be coming up here to get your beard shaped and everything with me at my barber. And then you're going to, very soon after that, you're going to be going down out of state to go to this beard competition.
Yes, sir. And the 28th, the day after the competition, is the day we celebrated Sammy's birthday last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which will be my 1 year of not trimming and cutting my beard.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So Sammy was my inspiration, and I will be representing Team Tiny Dancer at Battle of the Beards.
Yeah.
That's great,
Well,
man.
there we go. That's what I'm saying.
My first competition is in honor of Sammy and our daughter that we lost a few ago.
Yeah.
And some other children, because it's a benefit for the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh.
Awesome.
And so, but Sammy was my inspiration to not... She loved the beard. She loved the beard, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she loved the beards.
Right. But, Sammy has been in my life for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Was in my life for a long time.
Yeah.
And my earliest memory of Sammy, that's what I will share today, was almost 12 years ago. And she was just a baby, and I had just had back surgery. And Jeremiah and Ange brought her over to my grandparents' house. And while I was sitting in my chair, convalescing, they laid little baby Sammy on my chest, and she fell asleep. And we both fell asleep.
Angela's laughing, by the way. She's remembering this. She's remembering.
And
okay.
That is one of my earliest memories of precious Princess Sammy.
I love you, Brian.
I love you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you today.
I appreciate the memories, man. And today is a tough day. for anybody who knew Sam, the life that she lived, the love that she had, the smile and the joy that was overflowing in her life, and the optimism that she had about this world and about our ability to love each other and to do good and to be kind and to be real friends. It's just such a powerful thing. And to know that today would be the day that she would be turning a teenager. You know, I made a video. For people who don't know, I made a video, and at the beginning of it, I specifically said, I was like, I don't want to talk about stuff that's sad. I don't even want to go on the show. Yesterday, I didn't want to. I didn't even want to come. I was just shaking my head and saying, what am I going to do? And I thought, and I asked Angela, and I went back, and like I said earlier in the show, I went back and I started looking at things that Sammy had written on her Facebook page about this show, and I said, I must do this show. I'm not going to call Joe and say, do it by yourself. I can't be there. I'm not going to call the station and tell them I can't go. I'm not even going to fall back on a legitimate excuse that my old testicle is inflamed like crazy. Right? I mean, that's legitimate, man.
Going with the old school inflamed testicle excuse.
I've heard that a million times. You know, what did your dog eat the homework too? So, yeah.
And my wife would like me to share her favorite memory of Sam.
Sure.
Yeah, please.
And it's actually from last year at her party. Anybody that knows Sam knows Sammy face.
Yes.
And when you guys got out of your car and she saw that we were there, she got Sammy face.
Yeah. It's a big open, it's a big, excited,
smile,
happy, wide-mouthed smile. I mean, huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been ingrained in her memory like crazy for the last year, and she always talks about it and how much she loves Sam and how much Sammy loved us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
and one more thing, you know,
sure.
Sammy gave me in my mind the knowledge that I could be a dad when she laid on my chest that day. And Sammy loved my kids, and my kids love Sammy. So that is my story about Sam.
I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you, man.
You got
to get your butt up here safe and sound so you can work on that beard. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, my man.
All right.
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much for the phone call.
Thank you, Brian.
Not a problem. Thank you.
See you later.
616-656-1680 if you would like to be part of the conversation. Do you want to just go right away?
We'll do another
Let's
call.
go right away. Oh, this is one of our favorite people, actually, Joe. It's,
I know who that is.
Paleo Diva Central. Oh, no. But I think the Paleo Diva, hung up the phone. Are you there? Are you there, Mel?
We'll wait for...
Here.
Oh, she's here.
She's there. Okay,
Out of the
Mel
blue.
Rice, Paleo Diva Extraordinaire. In fact, Paleo Diva on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes, and calling from West Virginia, nonetheless, right?
Right, calling from Kaiser,
So,
West Virginia.
We've had Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia. Yeah, this is a good day. Thank you for calling, Mel. How's it going?
Sure, I'm awesome. I just wanted to call, and Jeremiah knows this weekend, Adam and I are, well, it's Adam's club. He's in a motorcycle club called Brothers in Blue.
Yes.
And it is a law enforcement and fire department officiated motorcycle club. That's who it's made up of. And we do charity events and different things like that. And this weekend we had a dice run. And if anybody sees me on Facebook knows that my cut that I have as a supporter, I put all of my patches on, and I have a Sammy patch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an owl that I put on there. And I just wanted to give an update that Sammy saw several places on Saturday. She saw Fairmont, West Virginia. Mm-hmm. She saw Morgantown, West Virginia. She saw Granville, West Virginia. She saw Grafton, West Virginia, and everywhere in between that and Kaiser, West Virginia. So,
that's awesome.
She saw a bunch of places this weekend when she went on our ride with us. And the benefit that we did benefited the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So we raised $500 for them. So just wanted to share that in memory of Sammy. So that's, I do that. Right. I put her on there because, we do a lot of benefits and we work with Walmart. Walmart does the Children's Miracle Network. So
I just wanted to let everybody know she saw a bunch of places this weekend.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mel. We much appreciate it, and we always love a call from one of the Paleo Divas.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's actually she's kind of the original, and she
That's
is
true.
the because she has it in her Twitter handle, so she is secured forever.
That's right.
As the Paleo Diva. So we appreciate it. We love you like crazy. Thank you so much.
Love you
And
guys.
and we know
Thank
you've
you.
shared it before, but make sure again to share a picture of the
Absolutely
Sami
will.
owl and the Team Tiny Dancer sticker on your helmet.
Yes, on my helmet.
And
Absolutely.
share that at facebook.com/PaleoRadio, and that way our listeners can go see it. All
Awesome.
right?
Sure will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye. Seems how we only have 3 minutes. Let's just do a quick topic. We have poorer nations are more committed to wildlife conservation than richer ones.
Yeah.
This was just a really interesting topic. This is by Josh Davis from IFL Science. When elephants are poached and rhinos are slaughtered, it's frequently asked why countries in which they live are not doing more to protect their wildlife. However, a new analysis of how committed nations are to conservation has found that less affluent countries are actually doing more to protect their wildlife than richer countries are. Now, what do you think about that, JB? That's a little bit interesting, right?
Well, I think some of them, the reasons why right now we have that are because a lot of them are being swamped by the oceans. For example, like there's these small little islands, these
Yes.
little nations of people who they're taking it really seriously because basically the water is coming up their legs, and
Yes.
they're like, holy moly, we're going to drown here and all of our stuff is going to go away. And these big countries don't care.
That's right.
These big countries, they don't
Yes.
care. And a lot of them, too, they would care more about this because their religions are more naturalistic, they're more holistic, they're more earth-centered. And so you would have a lot of people just even culturally who would be more interested in this dynamic.
I also think it's just more economically viable. When you're in Namibia and you have people that come for tourism to see elephants and your elephants are gone, you have a reason for wanting to keep elephants around.
Right.
You have a reason for wanting to keep rhinos. Also, for people that really hate big game hunting, I have a serious challenge to you folks. Now, I'm an avid hunter. I've grown up hunting my entire life. And people that do trophy hunting in Africa and those other areas, there's a lot of people that see that as a bit violent. They see it as not very productive. But I will tell you what, those people doing it that way and taking one elephant the conservation way with guides and through a national forest and with park rangers, that actually does more for conservation than anyone who's protesting it has ever made in terms of money and cash and the money that is directly spent to help wildlife conservation. So this is an interesting study. It said there's a team at the Wildlife Conservation Research Unit at Oxford University in conjunction with conservation organization Panthera. They constructed a Megafauna Conservation Index, or an MCI, and that aims to assess each country on how well they're preserving their largest wildlife. Since a number of the biggest animals, such as gorillas, elephants, and tigers, face extinction, and the fact that they often play a critical role in the ecosystems, the researchers decided to focus on that. Really crazy. 4 of the top 5 performing countries were found in Africa, with Botswana, Namibia, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe claiming the top spots, while the United States ranks 19th.
Yeah.
So just something to think about. But the biggest thing to drive is that conservation efforts actually work. Big game trophy hunting actually contributes to conservation efforts. It is not the worst thing in the world. And in fact, it does more for conservation efforts than abstaining from them does.
We'll be right back with Matthew O'Neill on the line. Wait patiently, buddy. We're coming back in 2 minutes.
For debates, interviews, or speeches, contact PaleoRadio at gmail.com.
You love to hate 'em, you hate to love 'em. You just can't get enough of 'em, you sick freaks. Paleo Radio's on the air.
Welcome back to Paleo Radio, the greatest show on earth, every Monday here in studio, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, I did say Eastern Standard Time with the confidence of any person, the confidence of Thor. Joe Alder, Jeremiah-Bannister. And we're going to jump right in. It's our last 15 minutes of the segment. We have Matthew O'Neill. We'll jump right to Matthew.
Our big bud, Matthew O'Neill, calling from Vermont, listening on streaming audio. Thank you for calling, Matthew.
Hey, of course. How are you guys doing today?
Not bad at all, sir.
Good,
How are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing excellent, thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
What did you want to chat with us about?
Well, wanted to mention, first of all, because Angela answered the phone, wanted to confirm with her that, yes, I do, in fact, have a Bender tattoo on my arm.
Fantastic.
I know she was stoked about that. I have other clever and sort of cartoonish tattoos that are, in my opinion, pretty great. Others might not think so. But anyway. But, I saw your video yesterday, Jeremiah, and wanted to call in and first, offer my condolences. I can't imagine, how tough this must be for you right now, and I appreciate you putting yourself out there and still continuing to do some awesome work in spite of all that. So first, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But I wanted to share a little bit because, you wanted us to share good news. So for those who don't really know much about me, I have two pretty young kids. They're 3 and 2 years old. Both of them have autism. And, my son, he struggled for a really long while to develop language. I mean, for the most part, it's a lot of just sort of mumbling and nonsensical stuff. And it gets pretty frustrating if you want something and he doesn't know how to communicate it. But, we've been putting him through these speech-language classes with speech pathologists. And this past Friday, we had a team of them in my apartment, sort of hovering over him and asking me all these questions. But throughout it, I started noticing that he's saying a lot more than he used to. And we pulled out this little picture book that he loves, and he's pointing to pictures, and he's saying banana, he's saying apple, he's saying ball. He's when he couldn't say the words, he was making noises. So he found a picture of a bear and went roar when he found it.
Yeah.
So, it's just really cool that after all this time, seeing all this stuff just sort of emerge that I hadn't noticed yet, is really exciting and, made me really proud of him. And so this weekend we went out and went and played on his favorite playground and, pushed him on the swings and stuff and had a really good time. So it was just overall a really great weekend.
Yeah.
You're an awesome guy, Matthew.
Oh,
You're a guy. Look, if people don't know who this is, you got to go check him out. Matthew O'Neill, an amazing individual, multi-talented, in fact.
Yes,
one of our favorite troubadours.
Probably one of the most accomplished people that we know here.
That we've actually interviewed. Kind of blown away, actually.
Yes,
yeah, and so we're really appreciative of the fact that you took the time to call. Of course, calling from Vermont, we always love the out-of-state callers, and so we appreciate it. But that's it's powerful news to hear, to hear of the way that through difficulties that you're the kind of person that just doesn't give up, that you think of different ways to see how you can maximize the way that your children can develop, right? That they can become the best people that they can be for themselves, and that you're, as a parent, you're actively engaged in that effort with special needs children, and that to see something like that. And look, I have worked with kids with autism. I grew up in a home with a brother with a closed head injury, and we were around kids in that community all my life. And so I understand when you were talking about some of the frustrations that can come with that. And a lot of people don't. They don't see that kind of thing on the day-to-day. They don't fully understand it. They don't really appreciate the fullness of what it means for someone in your position to say that sometimes it can get frustrating. But to have that happen where you start to see improvement, you start to see, oh my gosh, look, they're words, right? Identifying things and seeing those small things, that's huge, man. And so I'm just grateful that you called the show to talk about that. Yeah. That made my day. So I appreciate it. Yeah.
Of course, thank you, and we appreciate you. I mean, I'm sure I speak for everyone who's listening. We definitely appreciate you and, hearing your story. So thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
love
man.
you a lot, bud. All right, Matthew O'Neill, you got to go check him out. Go check out. He has a website, and we got. I think it's just Matthew. Is it MatthewO'Neill.com?
I think so.
Is it?
Yes.
I wish I would have asked him right there.
Anthropology podcast.
Yeah, and he's over with the Danthropology stuff over at Patheos with Dan Errol. He's buddies with that fella.
That communist.
That Marxist guy.
That Marxist guy.
Yeah, I saw he's all sorts of ticked off, man.
I've been keeping up with me on some Dan Arrow.
Yeah, he is an engine of anger. He's very upset about some stuff going on. But look, he finds the stuff that most of the time I'm like, I'm pretty upset about that too, actually.
Well, we got to bring him back on. Dan Errol is kind of sending a little bit of shockwaves through the atheist community in terms of a philosophy on punching Nazis that I'm enthralled with. I love the idea that this is this big debate in secular people right now is, do you have the right to punch a Nazi? And it's almost like a modern day trolley problem or something that we all like to talk about. He is very candid about his positions on it, and I think it's really it's a good thing because it at least is an iron sharpens iron. Dan Arrow is a very smart man. He's an intellectual. He's an educated man, and he has a position that is different than many others on it. So it's worth noting.
He went after recently Peter Boghossian.
He did,
another person over. I guess what it was a hoax. The idea was the Boghossian in his writing about why he did it. The philosopher Peter Boghossian said that he started with the idea that if you write a paper, right, a peer-reviewed paper for a feminist journal, that all you would need to do would use language that doesn't make much sense, blame it on men, and say that the reason for it is to do with the male genitalia. And it got published, right? It's total cuckoo nonsense. And it had to do with, I think, saying that basically that male genitalia is a social construct and that we need to dismember this social it's just totally a joke. It's a joke. But it was published. But come to find out, it wasn't. The initial idea was it would be published in a respectable journal. The question is this journal a respectable journal? The one that they went to? Or did it get rejected from professional journals and they ended up...
they went down
lowbrow in it. And that's what Errol is accusing him of, saying you said this and you're pitching it as this, but it really shows more about you.
You got denied down the line.
Yeah, and the fact that they picked the topic of transracialism and transgenderism and all this, that they're saying that he did that because he's maybe even really against it privately. Maybe he's a transphobe or whatever. And so it's starting a huge conversation. So yeah, Dan Errol is still in the thick of things.
And still a friend of the show.
Even
if we disagree with him, a great friend of the show.
He's our favorite Marxist.
He's my favorite Marxist for sure. He's my favorite commie friend.
Yeah, he's my favorite commie friend. And we mean that in a way.
in a term of endearment, for real.
Yeah, and we have fun with that. We know that he has fun, vice versa.
Absolutely.
We have a good time.
We'd be part of the cis-white patriarchy here. So, yeah, we totally love him.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Man.
In five more minutes, we want to get into this because this is definitely worth sharing. We had two big articles to talk about. We're going to thin it down, just do one, and we'll pass the next one. Both of them being, one is the anti-protest bills, which we will get into. The other is if it's a conspiracy to have so many, anonymous leaks coming from kind of deep state leaks even, which we're going to share next week. Because that's a great topic.
And we want more time.
We need more time. Yeah, absolutely. The anti-protest bills would attack right to speak out under Donald Trump. This is by Adam Gabbett of The Guardian. More than 20 states have proposed bills that would crack down on protests and demonstrations since Donald Trump was elected, in a move that UN experts have branded incompatible with U.S. obligations under international human rights law. So that's kind of a big deal. The UN's weighed in on it. The ACLU and the National Lawyers Guild have said many of the bills are likely unconstitutional. Quote, the proposed bills have been especially pervasive in states where protests flourished recently. And this was by Vera Edelman, who works for the ACLU's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project. She goes on to say, this flood of bills represents an unprecedented level of hostility towards protesters in the 21st century. And many of these bills attack the rights to speak out precisely where the Supreme Court has historically held it to be the most robust, in public parks, streets, and sidewalks. Mm-hmm. So, wow. It says the number of bills proposed, or the number of proposed laws, some of which have already been passed, have been introduced in North Dakota in an apparent response to the protests against the North Dakota Access Pipeline. Which that's not a surprise. The DAPL's North Dakota's been fighting for some time to get some protesting laws to stop that from happening. There's multiple bills. In Oklahoma, House Bill 1123 passed the state House and Senate and was sent to the governor on April 27th. If Mary Fallin, a Republican, signs the bill, it will increase penalties for trespassing on, quote, critical infrastructure, including oil refineries and chemical manufacturing plants. Under the new law, this would be damaging equipment in those facilities that would be punishable by $100,000 in fines and up to 10 years in prison.
I think some of this, too, is going back to, think about My Cat. If I'm pronouncing it properly, My Cat was the anti-pipeline protest group that was really big about the oil leak that took place in the stuff in the rivers here in Michigan. That was a big deal. In fact, we're friends with some of the people that were involved in that. But they shut down pipelines where they went in to the actual pipe itself.
Yes.
And you have to shut down the whole thing. You have to go in. You have to take care of what's in that pipe. And there's a process to that actually is quite costly to the organization that is doing that. So I can imagine that the government wants to put some kind of restrictions on, well, you can't go in and actually do damage to property.
Sure.
But streets?
And also we know that those damage to property things have been ludicrous sometimes, where someone has handcuffed themselves to a backhoe, right? And then they charge them for the damages on the backhoe upwards of $50,000, which is just insane. There's another bill in Tennessee that's currently under consideration by the state Senate, which would give civil immunity for a driver of an automobile who injures the protester who's blocking traffic in a public right-of-way if the driver is exercising due care.
Yeah.
So
we'll post this. We'll post this on the wall. People can discuss it more later. We'll post the topics over at PaleoRadio, Facebook.com/PaleoRadio.
Yes, and thank you to the 9 callers that we have in this 2 hours. We much appreciate it. You can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Facebook.com/PaleoRadio, or Twitter at the Twitter handle, PaleoRadio Show.
And thank you for all the happy birthday wishes for my daughter, Samantha. Rest in peace, baby. We'll see you next week on Paleo Radio. Bye.
You're listening to Public Reality Radio, WPRR 1680 AM Ada, 90.1 FM Clyde Township, 95.3 FM Grand Rapids.